This is the Apple HomePod Mini, which is Apple's take on a smart home speaker. Now, there's actually two versions of the HomePod. There's the bigger HomePod and then this mini version. The mini of which has been significantly more popular compared to the bigger HomePod. The original HomePod was actually discontinued, and they just had the HomePod Mini on sale for a while. Now they have both in stores, and this is kind of Apple's take on competition to things like the Google Home or the Google Nest Mini or the Amazon Echo Dot. So this is currently actually Apple's cheapest device that they sell in store. This starts at $99, and let's go over kind of some of the features, whether it's worth actually getting. So let's take a look at the design of the HomePod Mini. So it does take from its name. It does look kind of like a pod here, a circular little device. And like most other Apple products, this is pretty simple by nature. It's intentionally supposed to be something that blends into a space and that doesn't stand out too much, but has kind of a fun aspect with the different colors. So kind of looking at the device here, this outside section here is actually made of fabric. So it's a little different than some other fabrics. It's not soft feeling like you might find on a Google Nest Mini. This fabric is a little more sturdy. It is a little harder to the touch, which I think over time kind of helps with durability, won't necessarily degrade, or even colors like this blue won't get as dirty as something like maybe in lighter colors or maybe different fabric materials. But that's kind of what the whole outside is about. It's all the way around. And within the speaker itself, there are two tweeters and one woofer in it. And there are 4 microphones located throughout the device. So that wherever you place it, since it is a circle, you can be heard from pretty much anywhere in the room. So, like here, 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 here. Should be able to kind of pick up your voice whenever you're doing things with it. And then, of course, there's this top little display area. So on here, there's 2 buttons that you can see. There's the volume buttons, so one to turn down the volume, one to increase the volume. And then if you tap in the middle, this allows you to do various different functions such as pause and play music, activate or deactivate the keyword, or do a few other like double tap actions kind of throughout. But that's really the only way that you actually physically interact with the display. There's no other buttons on here. You just kind of have this top display, you could call it. And this top display feels and looks like glass. It is a plastic display, so just keep that in mind just for durability. Don't go and like taking a razor blade to it or anything. Then kind of looking around the rest of the device, the bottom here just has a little section, this little bottom section with the Apple logo. This is not really rubberized, so it does, when you put it down a table, move around a little bit. So right now I can really easily kind of move this around. There's not little rubber ends that stops it from moving, so just keep that in mind. If you are putting this somewhere or mounting it somewhere, you might want to stick something here in the bottom. But if you're just putting it like in the corner of a room or in a kitchen or something, it's not going to fall over or anything. But that's kind of most of the design of the device. Besides that, here we have just a braided cable. So this is a braided cable that is colored with each HomePod. So this one is a little bit of like a very, very whitish blue. And then it just ends with a USB-C connector. This part here is not detachable. However, the end just ends in a USB-C port, which you can plug into a USB-C power adapter, which is included in the box of the HomePod Mini, thankfully, which it isn't in the recent iPhones, but it is included in this $99 device, like I said before, which is pretty nice. Looking at this display, so this is a display similar to how you would interact with like a phone or something like that. It's not really a display. The only thing that it can show you is colors, basically. So for example, if I'm going on here and let's say I wanted to activate the keyword, so hey Siri, how's it going today?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
As you can see, it just lights up in the regular Siri colors on top. It doesn't display things such as time or music or things like that. That's really the only thing that is displayed on the top here, just so that you know that it did pick up your voice and it is looking to respond to that. Same thing with music. If you're playing music and you're playing or you're pausing, it'll give you a little indication of that. So for example, if I just tap here in the middle, there it just is playing the music. It's just kind of a white light. So that's really all there is physically to the device. A lot of it is meant to be used with your voice, since this is technically a smart speaker, which I'll kind of get into a little bit more here. Some other hardware specs about the HomePod mini is that it does have a temperature and humidity sensor built into the device. So if you're connecting this to an app like the Apple Home app, it will tell you what the temperature is in the room, what the humidity is in the room, and that's just built in directly into the device. This also has Apple's U1 chip, meaning it can use Apple's Handoff feature. So if you have an iPhone and you're playing music and you bring it near the device, you kind of just tap it on top, it will take that music from the iPhone and start playing it directly here on the HomePod. This was introduced actually on this HomePod mini and is now being used in the new HomePod, the regular bigger version of it. And then one final thing to note here is with streaming music to it. This is not a Bluetooth speaker. You cannot stream music from a device over Bluetooth to this device. You can only use it with AirPlay, with your voice, or with that handoff feature. Those are the only real ways to stream content to this device. So if you don't have a device that can use AirPlay, say an iPhone, iPad, Mac, whatever, then this device won't really be that useful for you. So as I mentioned, that the cable is connected to the device. You can't take it off. So here's kind of what we're working with here. You have probably about 6 feet of cable. So this actually does plug in with just a USB-C port at the end. So if you're connecting this to a place where you have a bunch of USB-C power adapters, maybe you have multiple ports that are on one charger, or like I mentioned, in the box it does come with Apple's regular 20-watt USB-C power adapter. So you can just plug it on in, plug it into the wall, and then you can connect it wherever you want. The nice thing about actually having this USB-C port on the end versus just plugging into a power outlet is that it's really easy to kind of navigate around things inside, like drawers, or if you're putting it somewhere like in a kitchen, you can easily just kind of put this cable behind something versus needing to put like a whole power brick behind there. You can just put that down afterwards. So this is a speaker, and its main purpose is to stream content to it so that you can listen to it, right? So as I mentioned before, there are 3 ways that you can stream content to this. You can either stream it through AirPlay too, so from any Apple device, you can stream whatever content you're listening to. It doesn't matter if it's local, in the cloud, whatever. Just stream it right to this device. You can do it with voice, so you can ask Siri to play a certain thing on Apple Music or Spotify or some other service that you connect to it. Or you can use the handoff feature, so if you're playing something on your iPhone, just tap your iPhone to it, and then it will connect via AirPlay. So let's demonstrate this real quick. So right now I have a song up here on Apple Music. So if I actually just start playing it here on my iPhone, it's just going to play through the phone speakers. But if I just click on the little AirPlay symbol here to choose which devices I want, I actually go on here and click on, I actually named this Tristan's bedroom. So I click on that, then it will start streaming to this device right here. Then on my phone, I can control volume for that device. So this is for the HomePod. I can either control it here in the app, I can do it with my voice, or I can tap it directly on the device as well. And if you ever wanted to stop streaming to this device, since this isn't a Bluetooth device, right, you don't have to turn it off or anything like that. You don't actually stop streaming it to the device. What you do instead is you just stream it to another one. So if I wanted to, just this to be done, I can either just pause it or I can put it back to my iPhone, so just have it play through my iPhone, and then I can turn it off there and then it'll stop streaming to this device right here. So a second way to stream content to it is through that handoff feature that I talked about earlier. So this device does have a U1 chip in it, meaning if I bring the iPhone close enough to it, it will detect that it's right next to the other device, and it'll give you information about the device or take whatever's on this over to there. So right now I have this song that's kind of playing on my iPhone. What I actually do is I can actually just tap the top of that device of the HomePod, and then it will change the content over to there. So right now, if I'm playing this on my iPhone, there's no volume with it right now. But if I were to actually go and just tap it, what happens then is it comes up with what is currently playing. Actually, just pause that. It'll come up with actually what is currently playing on the HomePod. So right now it's not playing, so let's just pause it. But it gives you the art, album art, all the different details for it, the volume of the HomePod, and then anything else that's kind of going on with it, like alarms or any timers that may be going currently. So since the music is now playing on the HomePod, if I wanted it back on my iPhone, I can do the exact same thing. So what I can do here is I can actually go and tap it, and then at the top it'll say transfer to iPhone. If I click on that, it will bring the song back to my iPhone. It'll start playing on here through the phone speakers, and now nothing is playing on there. So really easy way to do it if you're in a room where you just want to kind of start playing it. So whether you're in a living room or a bathroom or whatever, really easy way to stream over without needing to go through any additional settings. It's not really that hard, but again, it's just playing a song, going over, tapping it, and then starting it on the HomePod. So really easy way to go about it. Finally, you can stream music to it with your voice, since this is a smart speaker. So you do the same thing that you would do on an iPhone, where you activate it with the keyword and then whatever song or service you want it to come from. So I'll just give you an example right now. So, hey Siri, play Uptown Girl by Billy Joel.
Uptown Girl by Billy Joel now playing.
So then the song, of course, is playing. As you can see here with the controls, which I kind of mentioned before, talking about the design section, but if you just tap, that'll pause the music. If you tap again, it'll resume the music. And then on the device, you can turn up the volume, turn down the volume if you just want to access that really quickly. Or if you wanted to activate Siri, you can just say it, like I just said right there, or you can hold down on the top as well.
Is there something else I can help with?
No, not really, thanks.
Okay.
Audio quality wise, the HomePod Mini actually sounds really good for its size. Keep in mind, it's not going to be the greatest speaker you've ever heard. It's really small. It's, this is my hand, and this is compared to the HomePod. So if you have like bookshelf speakers, if you have a, receiver, or if you have even the bigger HomePod, those are going to sound a lot more full, can get a lot louder without distorting. But for the most part, this does sound better than the Google Nest Mini, which I keep comparing to this, as well as the just baseline Echo Dot. It does sound a bit more full. It's got a little bit more bass to it. Overall, Apple has always been a company that has been very focused on audio quality, especially when it comes to Apple Music. You can play all your songs in lossless and stream that to this device. So it does have a lot better quality than most of the competition. However, even something like a Bluetooth speaker, for example, this is a similarly sized Bluetooth speaker. The speaker is just going to sound better. It's going to get louder. It's going to have more clarity, because that's primarily what this is made for, is bringing it around, using it kind of as a Bluetooth device. However, the HomePod is not bad. You can use it to fill a room like a bedroom. However, it's not going to completely fill a larger space such as your whole house, or maybe like a very large kitchen or living room, but it's good to just kind of have there. You can't talk about the HomePod without also talking about Siri. Siri is the assistant that's on the HomePod. It's the only assistant that's on there. And as we all know, Siri can get some things really right, and then sometimes it just flat out does not work. I think when you compare Siri to Google Assistant or to even Amazon Alexa, Siri is probably the most limited when it comes to certain tasks. However, on the iPhone or on the Mac, it can do specific things that those assistants can't do. However, Siri is built into just this speaker, meaning there's not a whole lot you can do with it smart features wise. Kind of the main things that you can do with it is you can ask it basic questions. So like really basic things that you would normally ask an iPhone. If it's a more complicated response, it will simply say, go look on your iPhone. I sent it over there. It can play songs like I kind of demonstrated with it. It can control smart home devices. So I kind of have like these lights back here. If I say, hey, keyword, can you turn on my bedroom lights? It will do that for you as long as whatever devices are connected to it are also HomeKit devices, Apple HomeKit devices, which you can configure in the app. You can also set alarms with this. You can set timers. That's about it. Those are really the main things that you can do with it. And kind of the unfortunate thing too, which we'll have to see coming into this next year, is that whether or not this device will get the whole Apple Intelligence Siri upgrade. The rumor, at least as of now, is that the Apple Intelligence needs a device with at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, as well as an Apple processor in order to work. Meaning, this HomePod mini has a gigabyte of RAM. It's not going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM. So most likely it won't have the computational power to use that new Apple Intelligence Siri that has been demonstrated on the new iPhone 15 Pro models. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be able to use it in the future with cloud compute or through the cloud and then bringing it down to this device. We have yet to see what's to happen with that. As of now, this won't be getting the new Apple Intelligence, so it's limited to what Siri can currently do in the day-to-day. Hey Siri, how tall is the Eiffel Tower?
The Eiffel Tower is 1,083 feet tall.
Hey Siri, who's the President of the United States?
Joe Biden is the President of the United States.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
Siri, do I have anything on my calendar for the rest of today?
There's nothing scheduled today.
Siri, can you send a text?
To who?
Kenton?
What do you want to say to Kenton?
Hey, how's it going?
It says, hey, how's it going? Send it?
Yes, send it.
Done.
Siri, if I had 10 pizzas and my friend ate 7 of them, how many pizzas do I have left?
I found some web results. I can show them if you ask again from your iPhone.
Siri, what was announced at Google I/O 2024?
It will be the latest entry into the Google Pixel 8 series, which already has the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro. This is from HindustanTimes.com. For more, say open this on iPhone.
Siri, can you get a Honda Civic in a hatchback?
Yes, the Honda Civic is available in a hatchback.
Siri, do you love me?
I think you're pretty great.
Thank goodness. To summarize, what do I truly feel about this thing? Well, let's talk about what's good about it. So, it's inexpensive for Apple standards, right? $99, you can get yourself a HomePod, connects with all your other Apple devices. That's great. The second thing is it has actually really good audio quality for the price and for its category. Comparing it with the other mini, small, smart home devices, this one actually is pretty good. You can link it with other minis, you can create a stereo pair, you have it connect to other devices in your house. So audio quality wise, it's pretty decent for a smart home speaker. And then the third thing that's really good about it is just that it does connect with the Apple ecosystem so well. So you can just tap your phone directly to it. As I mentioned before, you can set it up in other pairs of other devices. It uses AirPlay. It already connects to your Apple Music account. It's really easy to set up. You just take it out of the box, click connect on your iPhone, and all the settings are all synced over. So it's really seamless if you use the Apple ecosystem. And then what are the biggest 3 things that I think could be improved? Number 1 is the Siri functionality. As I mentioned before, this is supposed to be a smart speaker. So it should be a little smarter in some different areas. Again, this could be improved within the next year or two as Apple focuses more on this next Siri iteration with Apple Intelligence. I have no doubt that whether or not the current HomePods get an update or they release new HomePods, there will be one that is kind of smarter for the home. The second thing here is just the removable cord on the back. As I mentioned before, it's nice how it ends in a USB-C ending. However, with this cord, you can't take it out. I wish that you could take it out, put it where you want, and then plug it in. Just kind of makes it easier for if it's behind certain things, because most likely you're putting this on a desk or on a shelf or somewhere where it's really hard to access. So just not having the cord built in would be a lot better. And then third, it needs a functional display. So right now, the display does light up. It can show colors, it can show white, but it just shows kind of the basic Siri colors. I mean, imagine if even on a display that is this small, if it would show things like what song is currently playing, how far it is in the song, what time it is. You know, if you have timers on here or alarms on here, I think this could be a really good bedside smart home device if it just had a clock, because now it's like, you still kind of need an alarm clock or some kind of clock by your bed if you're checking the time. This one doesn't have anything that you can visually look at. You can ask it the time, but I'd rather just be able to glance over and see. So I think having a more functional display, similar to like even an Apple Watch or like an iPhone, when you put it on a charger and you can kind of just show the standby display. If you had something like that on the HomePod, that would be awesome. So overall, would I recommend buying a HomePod mini? I think it really depends on if you already invested in the Apple ecosystem. If you already use things like an iPhone, MacBook, Apple Music, Apple TV, whatever, it's a great addition to all that kind of stuff. It works really easily. But if you just don't, if you don't own an iPhone or you don't like using an iPhone or you have an Android device or whatever, then obviously I can't recommend it. The only way you'd be able to interact with it is with voice, and you would have to connect like an Apple Music subscription to that, and you would be using Siri, which doesn't really work with anything. Even if you just have an iPhone and you want a device that can be in places like your living room, in the kitchen, in the bedroom, you just want a speaker that you can just say, hey, play this song on. I think if you just have an iPhone, honestly, it's a really good alternative to some other smart speakers and even Bluetooth speakers, because you can speak to it. You can ask it the basic things like, hey, anything going on in the calendar today? Text this person if you want to. And even if you don't have all these different devices in your home, if you just have an iPhone, you just have calendars kind of on there, I think it's a really good companion device. Again, it's $99, so it's not nothing, but compared to any other Apple device, it's pretty cheap, and it's a good way to kind of get your toes wet in the smart home space, especially when it comes to HomeKit, because you can get HomePod mini and then you can start like connecting things, when they go on sale. Like Black Friday, usually you can get a $10 smart switch, and then that's HomeKit compatible. You can set up to certain lights. So I think it's a really good introduction to that kind of stuff, but only if you have an iPhone. If you have Google Pixel, Samsung Galaxy device, don't buy a HomePod. It's just not going to work out very well for you. So that's really all I have to say in this little device. I really like mine. It comes in like 5 colors, so you can get it in, I believe, blue, orange, space gray, white, and it can really fit into a bunch of different places. I really enjoyed mine. I've had mine for the past 2 years about, and while I don't use it every single day, it's kind of just nice to have in whatever space you have it in. For example, I just had mine in my bedroom. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.